Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to STARJUMP Shipyard. It's Friday during the middle of the day. What are we doing? I know it's a weird day, but we're kind of doing a little stream today for a couple reasons. I'll explain what those reasons are. I got a little. When you wear black shirts, get a lot of little fuzzies on them. Nice to see everyone in chat. Victor, Kavotha, Easy the Autocrated, Bull, Iramix, Fleetwood, Ethnification, Dag, Wild Sea, Rhino, VFGP, Super Shoe, Full Nelson. We got all kinds of people. Citizen Ninja Rhino, Socially Confused. We got everybody. Everyone's piling in. Nice to see everyone. Eagle 0013. If I didn't say your name, don't worry. I'm not missing out on you. I see you there. I usually call out a few names, though. And maybe on the next stream, I will call your name out. Hopefully, you have all been doing good. We're going to cover everything that's going on right now, including some new leaks related to Defensecon. Possibly get with some level up news from CIG soon. I think it goes... sort of the doors open for that at 12 p.m. Pacific time. So 3 for us, 3 p.m. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. We'll play it by ear. I have seen the news flash. We're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about that. Genetonic says lunch with Grim. Indeed, it is lunchtime with Grim. I've got the STARJUMP tumbler here. If I don't spill it on myself. Got the STARJUMP tumbler here ready to go, filled with a nice bit of iced tea today. We're going with iced tea. But yes, we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to speculate on a few things. We might watch a few things. We got a new raffle to talk about. This one you might get excited for. It's not active yet. I'm going to activate it on the stream here, but you might get excited for this one. Jor Munricker says, good going on reaching 25K. That is amazing. And saying good going, chat. Absolutely. Everyone give yourselves an 07 because y'all are kicking ass with the donations. $25,212 raised already for the month of April. Incredible. I don't even know what to say about that. I see VG in chat. VG, I do see you. Let's see. Myth Soren says, dig the hat, STARJUMP. Yeah, actually, I just realized I'm technically wearing the wrong hat. Let me switch here. Let me grab the other one. 1 second here. Okay. Meant to grab this one, so thanks for calling it out. And I wanted to wear this one for a specific reason, but thank you for the compliment on the other hat. I have a lot of hats, by the way, a lot of hats. But I did want to talk about this one specifically today in relation to something else. I'll get to that really, really soon. But yeah, it's going to be... So let's start from the very top. I do want to go over show sponsor stuff real quick, but I'm actually going to hold off on that for a minute too, because there's a little bit of show sponsor news I kind of want to show you. Yes, Genta, it matches the beard. That's exactly right. So anyway... why am I streaming right now on a Friday? Normally, I stream 2 times a week, but as you all know, I will deviate from that if, A, there's interesting things to talk about within the community or within the game itself. Obviously, we are heading towards a very big event, Defensecon, and with Defensecon, there's going to be a lot of news coming out, you know, at different times, whether it's leak pre-release news or if it's, you know, day-by-day Defensecon stuff. I will always respond to that by adding a stream to the schedule. I try to get it up as much, you know, in advance as possible. You also never know what time of day those streams will happen. Also, when Defensecon gets here, about the week, probably a few days before Defensecon, I'll make sure I have the schedule of shows already up on YouTube, Twitch, and the Discord. On all 3 of those places, all my shows are always listed. But I'll make sure I have all the shows listed for Defensecon. I plan on streaming every other day. So essentially every day there's a new manufacturer day, I will do a stream. We'll cover the new ship that day. We'll talk about, you know, whatever the latest bit of news is, etc. You know, I'm not typically one that goes and deep dives all the like prices for every ship and all the little war bond upgrades and stuff. There's plenty of people that do that better than me. But I do like to cover some things that pop up on the daily, schedule for these events. So, plan on that. Probably be about every other day. I see VMXEO in chat, Trispone in chat as well. Hope you gents are doing well. On the Fleet Viewer side of things, since I just see VMXEO in there, we're working on some stuff on the back end of Fleet Viewer to maybe get us in a place where we can do updates to Fleet Viewer much faster. Starlet is currently turning some knobs and flipping some switches and doing some other cool stuff to hopefully streamline that process a bit. Xenon, hopefully you're doing well. I see you in chat as well. Should be an interesting few weeks as we sort of barrel to Defensecon, right? Let me pull up a few things here that I wanted to go over. First thing, as many of you know, on the show, quite often there is reference to the Kraken Captain mug. I've already told you many times that I am going to sell one of those on the future STARJUMP merch store. I do have a little news on the merch store. The merch store will launch this weekend, probably on Sunday. It'll be reactivated, and you will be able to buy the Kraken Captain mug. We're going to celebrate this latest Kraken news, which I'll go over here shortly. We're going to celebrate the latest Kraken news by getting this mug out, but I can show you the design of it if you haven't already seen it. It looks like that. I did not use any CIG marketing materials for this. I just created it, so we don't have to worry about it. I can sell it. It doesn't have anything Star Citizen IP on it. It doesn't have any Kraken imagery, none of their logos. I didn't use their fonts. It's a different squid design. So all that aside, it's my own design, but we got to have a Kraken Captain mug. So I will sell this, and there's a cool Kraken Captain shirt I'm going to have. We're going to celebrate the coming Kraken news. Okay. So we'll get into that in a big way. Okay. Let's talk about this one. We got a new raffle, and I'm starting it now. For $10, we have 5 Squadron 42 game packages to raffle off. Okay, these are Aurora MR and Consolidated Outland Mustang game packages that also have Squadron 42 in them. They also have Star Citizen game packages in them as well. We're going to raffle these off. You can scan the QR code, obviously, to the far right of your screen, or go to our Tiltify link, which will blam down in chat right now. It's a $10 donation to St. Jude. We'll get you in on this. We're going to raffle all these off on Sunday. I'm going to raffle all of these off on Sunday. Essentially, when we put all the random people in the wheel of names, we're going to spin it 5 times because that's how many game packages we have. Okay. So we're going to do that. No, I don't think they have LTI. Unfortunately. I think these game packages have, like, I forget what it is, 3 month or something. But the important thing is they come with Squadron 42. Okay, so that's sort of the important. I don't even really know all the Star Citizen package details for it. I know they're Aurora MR and Mustang starter packages, but they do have Squadron 42 in them. So new raffle has started. Hope you all enjoy that. Again, $10 donation via the Tiltify link, or you can scan the QR code. Again, that is currently live. Okay, so get in on that. Hopefully, we'll do that. We'll do that drawing on Sunday. And again, we're just going to choose 5. We're going to spin the wheel 5 times. Okay. Next, it's not active yet, but I'll give you a preview of another raffle starting in June. Pigeon Spaceport has donated a code for a free Scorpius model. These begin shipping in mid-May. I've seen the latest production pictures. They look really, really solid, look really, really good. this code will be for a free one of these. Okay, you'll be able to get one completely free. They're about $220 or so, so it's a pretty nice deal. Big shout out to Pigeon Spaceport for offering this up. They were very generous in that way. Also, James from Icon City offering up a 32 key Elgato Stream Deck for raffle as well. So again, this will be in May though. This raffle will be in May. So if this is something you were interested in, pay attention to the stream. I do plan on reviewing one of these. I'm going to be pretty unbiased in my review though. I already told them that. So get that in mid-May, but we will do the raffle starting at the beginning of May, and it will run to May 27th, last day of Defensecon, which we will do that drawing. Okay. Rhino with a $10 donation towards the Squadron 42 game package. Thank you very much, Rhino. But also, everyone, let's don't forget, we got a bunch of other raffles going on right now too. Now, the Merchant Man one did go. We spun that one last, what was that? What was it? 2 days ago. We have a winner. Brian Havoc, appreciate that. Donating art supplies and towards the Squadron 42 game package. HP Junkie, appreciate you. Got a lot of other raffles going on too. Remember, this coming Wednesday, so this Sunday, we're going to do all the Squadron 42 drawings. But then the following Wednesday of next week, April 29th, we have a Hammerhead and Polaris raffle we are going to draw for. Okay? $35 donation to the Tiltify link to get a Hammerhead ticket, $60 donation to get a Polaris ticket. We'll do both of those drawings next Wednesday on the same stream. Okay? Also, don't forget, for a $100 donation towards the Tiltify link, you can get in on the Masters of Industry pack. We're going to do this drawing on May 30th. Okay, May 30th. Rage 1, thanks for that $30 donation. Appreciate it. May 30th, Masters of Industry combo pack featuring a Pioneer. Yes, a Pioneer. You heard me right. An Arastra, a Hull B, a Golem, a Vulture, a Mole, a Reclaimer, and a Hercules. How insane is that? All these raffles, including the Squadron 42, generously provided by our buddy GearCon. GearCon, salute to you. Hope you are doing well. Thank you for your incredible generosity. We couldn't do this without him. It's be impossible to raise this amount of money without him and without you all, the community. Remember, winners of all these will be contacted within 5 days of the drawing. You'll have 7 days to reply to that notification email to claim your prize, and then we usually send it out about 7 days later. Failure to do so, obviously, within the time windows will result in a new drawing. Okay? Now, that being said, get in on those. Do appreciate it. We've had a few questions here. I don't have the bot running, but I'm just going to answer questions as we go. Again, this stream's going to be a little off the cuff. Hopefully everyone's okay with that. Jen Tonic says, question, does the Pioneer have a land claim beacon? I don't know. That's a great question. Jen and Tonic, that's a really good question. I don't know, but I can find out for you. It won't take me too long to find out for you. Okay? I'll get that information and hopefully can fill. Actually, let me look real quick. No, it does not. No land claim beacon with that. I think it was one of the later ones. But it is still a Pioneer. It's still a Pioneer, right? It's pretty cool. Intro with a $55 donation. Luke with a $10 donation. And Space Pumpkin Dave with a $10 donation. Thank you all very, very much. Racing to our $27,000 goal, which will be where my daughter does a makeover for me live on stream. That should be interesting. We'll see how that goes. Okay. So we've talked a little bit about that. It's time to go into some of the news. Now, for those of you not living under a rock, oh, by the way, on Sunday's stream, I will blast out the STARJUMP merch store information. I will say that all the STARJUMP merchandise, Kraken mugs, all that stuff, I'm making the profit margin on those, usually like only $1 or $2 over what they cost me to make. So very low profit margin. And I can tell you that all the profits from sales on the STARJUMP merch store are going to pay for our STARJUMP Bar Citizen event later this summer. Okay. So all the profit and money raised via the merch store is going to go towards the STARJUMP Bar Citizen event. And I can tell you that when we do the STARJUMP Bar Citizen event, I am going to have a remote streamed version of it for those of you that can't make it. Okay. So stay tuned for that. Okay. Stay tuned for that. Had another question here. I know I missed it. Where was that one? Hook 2005 says, question, when does Invictus start? I don't think it does start. It starts May 14th, but that's Defensecon because there's not really going to be an Invictus this year. We'll get into that. Garflex's question, do we know if Defensecon is the whole event? Yeah, it looks to be. It looks to be. Mythos Sorens's question, late summer Squadron 42 release, do you expect them to go full on SC development to hit 1.0 before they start working on chapter part 2? No, I think it's going to be a little bit in parallel. I think there's going to be a smaller team working on pre-production stuff for part 2, and a lot of people will move over to Star Citizen. I do think there's a lot of pressure to get that 1.0 out the door at some point, but I don't think that's just going to completely pause Squadron work. So, okay, everyone, let's get to today's news. I'm going to put my headphones on so I can hear this. We did have a new video release by CIG on the Twitter. It was a news flash that contained some very, very juicy info. Okay, so we're going to get into it. Charlie McCawsome says, why is Andon Arden so awesome? That's a great question, because he is pretty awesome. We first got introduced to Andon Arden all the way back in a Jump Point issue on the Kraken, I believe, or Corsair. It was way back when, and I think it was the Kraken issue, and they sort of talk about him and his approach to leading Drake into the future, right? So, Chief, thank you for that follow. Let's bring up this video here, everyone. Bear with me as I get it up, and I will share my screen. Okay. All right, here we go. And we'll set it to loop. All right, let me turn the audio on. We'll watch it together. Watch it together. I might pause a few times here. Here we go. And it's not playing. Why is it not playing? Okay, does this not have audio to it? All right, I guess I got to bring it up on the Twitter. Got to bring it up on the Twitter. Let's do it live. Sometimes you got to do it that way. It's okay. We'll make it work. This is one of those episodes, right? Like I said, one of those episodes where we're just going to do it live. Here we go. Let's go down to the news flash. Let's pause it. Let's make this nice and big. Get our audio up here. Hopefully this is working. And still no audio. Why do we have no audio, people? We're not muted. Or can I just not hear it? Do you all hear it? Can you all hear the audio for this? Let me know in chat. Why can I not hear? Can't hear it. No. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Let me go back here. Let me test something real quick here, everyone. Bear with me. Yeah. You know, the interesting thing, I don't think I have... Why don't I have audio for anything? This is not good. I think I might know the reason, though. Stand by. Okay, and there. Nope, can't hear it. No one can hear it. Perfect. No, browser tab's not muted because that wouldn't have affected the video either. And the video does have audio. So stand by. If everyone doesn't mind holding for a minute. We're doing it live. Like I said, we're doing it live. I got no audio. Why do I have no audio? Okay, this is not good, people. Stand by, everyone. Let me do a test real quick on something. Yeah, we have no audio on anything. Why? Why do we have no audio on anything? That's interesting. Hold the line. Yeah, exactly. Hold the line. Let me double check something here. Something is obviously wrong. Oh, you know what it is? I think I figured out the issue. Stand by. Oh, Shepard with $110 donation. How cool is that? Thank you very much, Shepard. Everyone, bear with me. I see what the issue is. Yep. See what the issues is. My monitor just decided that it was going to take over sound duties for my computer. Sorry about that. All right, here we go.
This is James.
There we go. Now it's working. All right, everyone. Sorry about that. Computer just decided it was going to do whatever the hell it wanted to do today. Okay, here we go. We might stop a few times. Shepard, thank you very much for that donation. Appreciate it. Hope you are doing well. Okay, here we go. Going to play this.
This is James Harriman with a breaking SSN CATV news flash. Footage has emerged of Drake's CEO Andon Arden stirring up controversy yet again.
United? Yeah, okay. It's real funny how those UEE shills suddenly had urgent business back in Sol. So yeah, Drake stepped in. Someone had to. For the people, remember?
This time he's taking aim at the UEE and Invictus Launch Week's abrupt retreat to Sol.
And hey, we're proud, real proud, to welcome all manufacturers. No hidden agenda, no glossy bait. Even if a certain heavily armored silhouette just happens to overshadow the ironclad,
Odin.
that's not the point.
According to the divisive CEO, Defensecon 2956 will be going ahead bigger than ever, with a full roster of manufacturers previously scheduled to be at Invictus.
This is for the independents, the haulers, the homesteaders, the freelancers, the ones who don't get flyovers. So yeah, Defensecon will show them how it's really done. And hey, the UEE is always welcome too.
Will Defensecon truly deliver for the everyday heroes of the system on this unprecedented scale? Stay tuned. This is James Harriman signing off.
All right, we might analyze that a little bit, but essentially the long and short of it is that due to some stuff happening, the UEE is dealing with stuff over at Seoul, or maybe Invictus is being done at Seoul. I'm not sure how we'll listen again. But the important thing is here is essentially, did you don't have sound? Does everyone else hear me? Does everyone else hear me? You can hear. Okay. Interesting. So the big issue here is that I was correct in some of my previous speculations that Defensecon is the whole event now, and so it's been expanded, and then the idea is Drake is opening it up to other manufacturers. You heard Andin Arden say that it's being opened up to the manufacturers that don't get the flyovers, right? I do think it was interesting he said freelancers. He said it in a different context, but I wonder if that was a hint towards something. But regardless, so Defensecon being repositioned a bit as an event for the alternative manufacturers, right? Those manufacturers that don't have the big UEE contracts, right? Which typically those are, companies like Aegis and Anvil, RSI, etc. So now there was other manufacturers represented at Invictus before, but Defensecon looks like it's going to pick up all the others. Okay. And we'll look at the Defensecon map here in just a second. There's some interesting stuff there. You heard him mention the ironclads. You heard him mention, a big military ship overshadowing the ironclad. You're definitely referring to the Odin there, which is the Anvil battle cruiser. Okay, which we are expecting to get the concept sale for. Still could just be a concept reveal, but I think we're all expecting it to be a sale opportunity, right? Hank Reardon says, 5460 question, is this bad news for Squadron 42 news at the event? It's not bad news. It just doesn't really set the stage. But before we get too concerned, I'll share with you a glimmer of hope for a possible Squadron 42 moment. Okay, we'll go into that. Let's watch it one more time. I might do some pauses here, right? Hook 2005 asks a good question, though. He says, what's the difference between the two? We usually have both UEE and Defensecon. And there's a little bit of lore that's going on there. Invictus usually happens, Invictus Launch Week happens, it's a recruitment drive for the UEE Navy, okay? Just so everyone knows sort of the lore behind it. Invictus is like this big recruiting push. I think it's where the new recruits join the fleet. So that's what Invictus is. Aside from that, Drake put on the Defensecon because Drake is sort of iced out of UEE military contracts. And because they're iced out of the whole Invictus celebrations where all the other manufacturers were involved, Drake sort of created their own thing with Defensecon. Okay. Now we're leaning into a future where Drake is no longer like the pirate manufacturer. I think CIG's made a very concerted effort to change Drake's sort of outgoing message as like power for the people, power to the people, very militia focused. So sort of for the everyman, right? And I think that's sort of what they're trying to do here. Mature Gamer, thank you for the subscribe. Appreciate that. So with that, what we're seeing in this year's Defensecon, since the UEE Navy is busy doing whatever they're doing over Seoul, this left a vacuum that Drake was able to fill by expanding Defensecon into something larger than just themselves. You heard Andon Arden say that they're bringing in those manufacturers that don't get the flyovers, right? Those manufacturers that aren't part of the UEE Navy kind of ecosphere. And we may see that represented in the show floor map. We're going to look at that here in a minute, but let's watch this another time.
This is James Harriman with a breaking SSN.
And by the way, I like Jared's voice. I think he's got a great radio voice, by the way. But when I hear this, I just think of Jared. I don't think of the character he's supposed to be playing. I don't know if that's intended or not, right? So either way, that's Jared's voice, if you were wondering.
And CATV Newsflash. Footage has emerged of Drake's CEO Andon Arden stirring up controversy yet again.
United. Yeah, okay. It's real funny how those UEE shills suddenly had urgent business back in Seoul. So yeah, Drake stepped in. Someone had to.
The insinuation there is that, or the insinuation I take from there, and you may all take something different, is that Andon Arden's finding it kind of funny that as soon as Drake starts coming out with these big bad ships, right? The Ironclads, which they're going to be 2, Kraken, right? When Drake starts pushing these ships and changing their ways, changing their sort of direction, he's sort of making a joke that he thinks it's now funny that where now Drake is a real threat to grabbing attention, suddenly the UEE's got urgent business over in Seoul, right? And by them leaving, they're going to take advantage of that, right? Drake is going to come in, take advantage of that, and again, be the hero to the people by giving them this event, right?
For the people, remember?
This time he's taking aim at the UEE and Invictus Launch Week's abrupt retreat to Seoul.
And hey, we're proud, real proud, to welcome all manufacturers. No hidden agenda, no glossy bait.
You can see the politics sort of going on there, that in-lore politics, and that's something I said on a stream just recently. I can't remember if it was one of my streams or if I stepped into an Info Runner stream, but I said something that I really hope CIG doesn't do away with, that whole in-lore rivalry between Invictus Launch Week and Defensecon, because I always thought that was kind of fun. By the way, we got a great turnout today. Thank you all for hanging out. 139 viewers on Twitch and 247 on YouTube. My goodness, YouTube. During the middle of the day, man, the YouTube community is always willing to watch. So thank you to both communities for coming and hanging out and watching. So yeah, you get a little bit of that, like, kind of politics, behind the scenes politics stuff going on. Aiden says, question. So as Drake is day 1 from the manufacturer part of this video, does that mean that the Ironclads and command module will release on day 1? Yeah, more than likely the Ironclad and the Ironclad Assault and the command module will be day 1 purchases, be available on day 1. Yeah, typically that's how it works. Let's keep going.
Even if a certain heavily armored silhouette just happens to overshadow the Ironclad.
So right there, you heard a certain heavily armored silhouette overshadowing the Ironclad. Obviously, right there, they're talking about the battle cruiser. Okay, now the schedule for Invictus Launch, we can bring it up real quick here. It's a very small image because it's, well, I just messed that up. Sorry. Let me bring this up again. It's a little hard to see, I know, but we got Drake on the first 2 days. Anvil is on the final 2 days there, right? But I wouldn't read too much into that. The battlecruiser, I think, will be viewable on day 1, maybe, right? Maybe. I think there's 2 possible scenarios here, and let's talk about this. So, at the top of the IO tower, if you remember last Invictus, at the top of the IO tower, there was a long pathway, and you could go visit the Idris P out there, right? However, this year, one of 2 things could happen. The first thing that we know that's going to happen is that there's going to be a sort of large holographic display of the battle cruiser up on the IO tower. That's been all but confirmed in the audio files that have leaked. Okay. However, another thing that could happen is the battle cruiser could be put on display a little bit later on in the event, and maybe on Drake Day, maybe they get a little wild and maybe the Kraken is sitting out there at the IO tower. Who knows? The Kraken exterior, not the interior, the exterior. I don't know what they're going to do. The only thing we know 100% for sure, hey, Ruben Soros, nice to see you, buddy. The only thing we know for sure is that the battle cruiser, some sort of holographic display for it will be at the top of the IO tower, okay? For those of you wondering if the battle cruiser was coming to STARJUMP Fleet Viewer, yes, it will. The fact that there's a holo model that's going to be there for it gives me and VMXEO something to work on. So yes, me and VMXEO will be very busy during the event getting the battle cruiser ready, getting the ironclads exported, and all the other new ships and vehicles, the Drake Pitbull, the Miss Starlight, the Tiburon, all that kind of good stuff, okay? So yes, that is a focus. Will be what me and VMXEO are focused on. Thank you for subscribing, Clueless Panda and Wolfchild. Appreciate you. Question from Radar says, if the UEEN ran back to Seoul, why is their battle cruiser there? Budget problems? It could just be Anvil showing it off. And you know, it's one of those things too, where yeah, CIG try to inject a little lore into this, but at the same time, they got to show the ship, right? It's just one of those things. Space Pumpkin Day says, any speculation on what the two new Gatac designs mentioned at the beginning of the new sticker might be? Yeah, we're going to look at that in just a second. I mean, I think one of those is the Raylin, but there could be another one, and that one has me really, really excited. So Jack says, question, Drake Pitbull? Yeah, we're going to talk about that, and I'll give you my thoughts on what it is. Let's keep going here for a minute.
That's not the point.
According to
Get a little preview there of the map again, May 14th to May 27th. There you can see the hall. Now, you can't read that very well, but we can reference some information on here, and we're going to bring up another floor map here that's a little bit more clear in a minute.
the divisive CEO, Defensecon 2956 will be going ahead bigger than ever, with a full roster of manufacturers previously scheduled to be at Invictus.
This is for the independents, the haulers, the homesteaders, the freelancers, the ones who don't get flyovers. So yeah, Defensecon will show them how it's really done. And hey, the UEE is always welcome too.
Will Defensecon truly deliver for the everyday heroes of the system on this unprecedented scale? Stay tuned. This is James Harriman signing off.
So there was a couple of interesting bits of information there. I'm actually going to go back to when they show the map. So let's hold there for a minute.
That's not the point.
According to the divisive CEO.
There we go. We'll pause there. There was one interesting ticker information here that says Gatac teases not one, but two imminent ship reveals. Again, I think one of those is the Raylin. I think there will be a second one, though. I think it will be another smaller ship, possibly combat in nature. We'll have to see. But definitely, I think the Raylin is one of these, just in case anyone was curious. Could be a Raylin variant. I see someone said that, the Raylin Assault. Who knows? They could be, there could be something interesting there. I'm going to bring up this show floor map here. Now, I'm not 100% sure this is right. This was posted, but we'll have to see. Okay. Raul Mateo, Drake Defensecon will be May 14th through May 27th. And I'm not sure what Jared said, or what the Aiden Arden was saying when Jared started talking over him. That'd be good to know. But zooming into this a little bit, this will be the main area here, and you see a Drake or an Ironclad Assault sitting here as like the main centerpiece. Kind of interesting. It's not the Ironclad and the Ironclad Assault. Hey, it's STARJUMP, Starlet. Starlet, we were just talking about you just a minute ago. Everyone gives Starlet an 07. Starlet working hard on Fleet Viewer stuff, making efficiencies, making things happen. She's got a lot on her plate, and we appreciate what she does. If it wasn't for Starlet, it wasn't for VMXEO, we would not have a STARJUMP Fleet Viewer. So if you enjoy using Fleet Viewer, make sure you give them an 07. Okay, give them an 07. Give them a little bit of love. But yes, this is a centerpiece. Obviously, Ironclad Assault there. I'm kind of curious why they didn't put the Ironclad and Ironclad Assault in there. They do have some different exterior stuff. I think that could have been cool to like leave one closed and open one up. But again, I think since this is maybe a little bit more combat in nature event, Defensecon, maybe they wanted to show the Assault. No big surprises in there, though. Obviously, the normal Drake stuff peppered throughout the hall, except we have a possible new vehicle / ship, the Drake Pitbull. Based off where it's sitting up here where like the Dragonfly and Mule are. It does make me think that the Pitbull is something that's smaller. And I'll be honest with you, I'm honestly thinking it could be a ground vehicle. I'm thinking it could be a ground vehicle. Yeah. I see someone say Pitbull maybe is a command module. Yeah, possibly, but I'm not 100% sure. Maybe be a weird, I don't know. Like to me, a command Pitbull for the command module is kind of a weird name, personally. GearCon used 20 bucks. Gear, hope you're doing well, buddy. We went over the, Squadron 42 game package raffle announcement along with the other announcements. We've already had a number of tickets purchased towards that. You can see that up on the screen in the far left or far right. But yeah, Pitbull. I mean, I think it's probably a ground vehicle. I don't know what it could be. Part of me is wondering if the Pitbull is Drake's version of some sort of combat ground vehicle. I do think if it's appearing at Defensecon, it's probably combat related in some way. Might be the perfect vehicle, for example, to put in your Ironclad Assault. Remember how the Ironclad Assaults are designed around carrying vehicles? The front doors on them are a little bit bigger. The ramp is a little bit bigger to accommodate things like the Nova tank. That is what CIG told us during the Ironclad is Rad Inside Star Citizen episode. Wouldn't it make a lot of sense though if Drake was releasing a ship that flew around vehicles and had a big ramp for those vehicles, that they had a ground vehicle to go with it? What if the Pitbull is Drake's version of a Nova tank? We really don't have a competitor to the Nova, right? So possibly some sort of Drake. Maybe it's a Drake technical, like Omega Black saying there. Maybe it's maybe it's sort of like a striker type vehicle. Maybe it's a full-on tank. We don't know. I'll tell you this, as someone who keeps his ear to the ground on potential leaks, new vehicles, new ships, I have heard nothing about this. Zero. Nothing. I haven't even heard of some of the other people I know in sort of the leaks community. And Xenon, maybe you can chime in on this. I've heard none of them talk about a Drake Pitbull. So if this is a real deal thing, CIG has kept it very, very quiet. Right? Xenon says the Pitbull was mentioned 4 months ago. Okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't hear that one. Store page also exists for it. Okay, great. Cool. Yeah. I must have completely missed that it was mentioned. Where was it mentioned? I don't doubt you at all, by the way. This is why I like having multiple people in chat. Raul Mateo says, question, is there no trace of the Exila Stingray or new Origin ships in the moment? Not that we know. Not that we know of. Oh, Xeon says in the files, not public. Oh, yeah. Oh, you know what? I actually do think I remember something about that. I forgot that it was Pitbull, but now I am remembering something about a Drake thing being in the files that then disappeared. I thought it was called something else, though. Was it Pitbull? Was it Pitbull? That's interesting. I fully believe you. But yeah, I mean, I think that if you're going to sort of speculate on what it could be, some sort of ground attack vehicle makes the most sense. Something that you put in your Ironclad Assault. Now, I will say, if you were going to put it in, like, make it part of the Ironclad Assault thing, I would actually expect the Pitbull to be sort of where the Drake Mule is. I think it's kind of weird that the Pitbull is off to the side and the Mule is occupying that center position there when you walk into the hall. I think that's kind of interesting. So yeah, it kind of interesting choice by CIG. I'm sure there's a good reason for it, but we will see. This haul, by the way, is not named. The next haul we're going to look at those called the new standards, and that's over here. They call this haul the new standards. This one has the Ares Inferno, the Aurora Mark II, the Aegis Eclipse, and the Aegis Tiburon. Interesting cross-section of ships there, right? The Tiburon, we believe, is the new Hammerhead. It would make sense from a scale perspective if you figure the Ironclad Assault sitting in here. It's roughly like 120-something odd meters. Aegis Tiburon would be the Hammerhead variant at 110-ish meters. It could fit nicely in there with the 3 ships in front of it. Nothing, I mean, I've said this before, so I won't like belabor the point, but we do believe the Aegis Tiburon is a Hammerhead variant, right? That's sort of what the speculation has been and what CIG has sort of hinted towards. We do know that there's a Hammerhead variant, or actually no, let's rephrase that because I'm getting inaccurate. We know that there is a ship related to the Aegis Hammerhead in development. That was their words, related. That doesn't necessarily mean variant. As a matter of fact, the Aegis Tiburon, I think if it is a variant, it's probably more on par with like the Valkyrie Asgard situation where there's some exterior changes to the ship. It's not just a Hammerhead with different weapons on it. I've been pretty open in saying that if the Tiburon is a Hammerhead with just lasers on it or something, I'm going to be pretty disappointed. And I'll probably be pretty harsh on it because I think that should be a weapons kit. However, if the Tiburon is in fact something more akin to the Valkyrie Asgard thing, where there's some larger changes to it, both interior and exterior, and it fits within a slightly different role, or if it is still the same combat role, it's going after a different sort of target, where the Hammerhead is more what you take out to deal with swarms of light fighters or medium fighters or whatever. The Tiburon maybe punches up. Maybe that's the ship that you go after Polaris is with or something like that, right? So I hope that it plays in sort of a different regime. But Aegis Tiburon, I haven't seen any real leaks surrounding it either. So I don't have a lot to say about it. This is just one of those ones where I'm like, well, let's see what they do with it. And then we'll make a judgment call. The Hammerhead, and I'm sure you all agree with this, the Hammerhead is one of those ships that I actually love the look of the Hammerhead. I think it's a really cool looking ship, but its crew requirements for what it does still seems a bit punishing, right? The amount of people you need to essentially effectively deal with fighters, you start asking questions, well, why don't I just take those same number of people and put them all in fighters, right? Now, the balance would be switched if the Hammerhead had a smaller crew count, but had a lot of PDCs or AI-controlled turrets that it could still attack the same number of fighters, but with a lower crew count. See, that's where the balance then switches, where you go, oh, okay, maybe let's take out the Hammerhead instead of putting everyone in their own individual fighter, right? Artemis TGM says, Grim, do you remember the early concepts of the Hammerhead? I hope the Tiburon is like that. Yeah, I did that concepts episode. It was like a 2-parter. And in that concepts episode, I showed some of the Hammerhead, early concept work, and there was some cool ass stuff in there. So, yeah. Stand by, everyone. Let me check something. I'm keeping an eye, by the way, on the channels. If any more news comes out, especially related to Level Up, we'll see. We'll see. Okay. Stand by, everyone. Let me get my notes back up. So yeah, we'll see there. Nice to see the Ares Inferno in there. I'm a big Inferno fan. It's one of the few light, medium, heavy, type combat ships I own. I don't own a lot of those other than ones I've gotten through like rewards and stuff. So The Ares Inferno, though, is just a lot of fun to fly, even when it's, hey, Artorias, hope you're doing well, buddy. A little impromptu daytime stream. I didn't even want to bother you for this one, buddy, but you are welcome to hop in voice chat if you want, of course. Same goes for Trispone or VMXEO, any of you guys that are already in the content Discord. You can always jump in the show waiting room if you want to say anything about any of this stuff. Yeah, it's interesting that it's the Inferno and the Eclipse are in the new standards category. Xenon pointed it out there in chat, and I think that's a great point to be made here. The Mark II Tiburon, they are new, right? However, the Inferno and the Eclipse been out quite a while. What does that mean? Does that mean the Eclipse and the Inferno and the Air or the Ares series are going to be brought up to standard? Could it possibly mean those are getting new additions? Maybe the Eclipse is going to be able to carry new armament. Okay, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe the Ares Inferno is finally getting its long hoped for ability to switch out its primary weapon. I joked before that the Ares, there needs to be a beam variant of the Ares. And if you remember, Ben Curtis on X or Twitter replied to my statement with a wink face, almost insinuating that that is in the cards at some point, right? Radar Echo says, question, Grim, do you think they're naming the pit bull after a rapper? Tongue-in-cheek reference to Drake the Rapper and not any gameplay. Hey, you never know. It wouldn't be the first Drake joke CIG made, actually. They've done other jokes. As a matter of fact, it was during the Ironclad is Rad video, they made a Drake joke like that. So, yeah. So yeah, that's the new standards. Moving up here, I forget what this one is called. Steady Support. This is the Steady Support group up here. Obviously the Tumbril series, the Tumbril Nova, Greycat MDC, MTC, Cyclone, Mirai Pulse, C8R. Again, a lot of support ships. Anvil Asgard there in the middle, which I think is a good place for the Anvil Asgard. I've been on record as saying the Asgard was a ship that I was not excited for at all until I actually flew it and used it in game. And then it just clicked that I would say the Asgard is my daily driver. It's definitely my daily driver for sure. It's my big pickup truck. You know what I mean? Am I not sharing the screen? Sorry about that. Thank you. So yeah, this is it here. We can see those ships I was just referring to. Destroy, nice to see you too as well. But we've got a new one here, Misk Starlight. We've heard some news that the Starlight is a small refueling ship. I can confirm that in the Evo builds of 4.8, there are refueling missions. So it makes sense there would be another refueler. A Misk refueler, I think, would be based off the Misk Starfare. That's, I think, why they went with this as the Misk as the manufacturer. What I could see the Misk Starlight doing is perhaps having 1 to 2 of the Misk Starfare fuel pods attached to it. So it'd be the same exact fuel pod. It would just carry less of them, right? Maybe even just one, because if you look here, that's kind of a small area, right? So yeah, Socially Confused says Starlight doesn't seem that big. Yeah, I agree with you. So it might just carry one of those refueling pods. It might be that perfect ship for going out and refueling people and fighters and stuff like that, right? Or if someone's out there with their prospector or something, you come by and top them off, right? We'll move over here now. Now this one is called Pilot's Choice. I think it's Pilot's Choice. And that is listed here. Gray's Market Shiv. I knew Gray's Market was going to be there in some way. Origin M50, L22. There's question marks by those, as well as the L21. So maybe those are in flux. And then the Origin 125A. Kind of an interesting little haul here. Nothing super crazy. I think this is the most interesting one. The L22s being represented here makes sense. M50 is interesting. But anyways, this is kind of an interesting haul here. I'm curious to see if there's any surprises in there. Pilot's Choice. Thank you, Xenon. Thank you. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Okay. let's keep going. Next, now this one is, I can't even read it. Xenon, do you know what this bottom hall is called? I can't even read it. I had it written down, but I think I've lost it. There we go. Okay. Frontline favorites, you believe? Okay, frontline favorites. Okay, obviously some favorites here for sure. RSI Perseus is going to be in this hall. F8C Lightning, the RSI Meteor, Fury MX, Guardian MX, and the F7C M Super Hornet Mark II. So again, a hall with not a bunch of surprises, but you know, Defensecon and Invictus didn't always just have every hall filled with something new. It's to sell and celebrate ships and vehicles that have been out a while, right? So again, that's what you're seeing here. So it's a couple interesting things here. If I was going to critique this, and again, I don't want you to take this as firm, as this is 100% what the floor layout's going to be. I think this was pulled. I mean, we assume this is pretty accurate, but it was in a leaks channel, and they can be wrong. But I think the most interesting thing here is the Drake Ironclad is not for viewing. Yes, the Ironclad Assault is, but I would hope that they would show the standard base version too, because there are some pretty big differences with those two ships, just in their interior. Main cargo area is obviously quite different, and then on the exterior there's differences as well. So I was hoping it would be out there, but looks like they're taking a different approach to it. I was kind of hoping Drake was going to say, yeah, it's a defense, centered event, but screw it, we're putting out our cargo ship in there. I think that would be kind of funny, because Drake doesn't really play by the rules, right? So it makes sense. Iron Thatcher, thank you very much for a $70 donation. Everyone, don't forget, we'll bring this back up in a minute, but do not forget that we got a number of raffles going on right now you can get in on. You can also donate towards St. Jude specific stuff, but also all these ships, except for the Merchantman. I got to get that one off of there. Merchantman was drawn 2 days ago, and we have a winner for that one. But Hammerhead, Polaris, Masters of Industry pack, all still active. There's also another Perseus and another Hammerhead I think you can get on as well. Those are still up for drawing. I'm going to add those to the graphic at some point. And then, of course, we have the Squadron 42 game package charity raffle. Get in on that. We have 5 of these to give away. When we do that drawing on Sunday, we're just going to spin the wheel 5 times. So a lot of people have a chance of winning. That's only a $10 donation, by the way. $10 donation. I'm going to add that to the chart as well. $10 donation gets you a chance to win a Squadron 42 game package. Again, this is actually an Aurora MR or a Consolidated Mustang game package. Comes with Star Citizen, but also comes with Squadron 42. Okay, so get in on that while you can. Do appreciate it. Big shout out to GearCon for the raffle prizes this year. Do appreciate it. Do appreciate it. Let's continue here. Boom, 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 boom. Let's see. Let me go back to my notes. Stand by, everyone. I'm going to bring up this graphic next. We looked at this just a minute ago, but I wanted to look at it again. Again, this is very low quality. Sorry about that. This is just the best we have it at the moment. But this is the Defensecon schedule. Okay, so May 14th and 15th is all Drake all day long. That's where you're going to have a couple waves probably to buy the Kraken. I have a feeling now that the Kraken is in development, it's going to be, it's going to go quickly. For those of you, I'm not going to play it because I am a little concerned about showing specific leaks early related to the content creator program. So I want to be careful. I want to be respectful of CIG. But what I will say is there have been some audio files that leaked out from the most recent build. And one of the audio files specifically is around the Kraken. And there's 2 interesting things said in this audio file regarding the Kraken. The first one is take a sneak peek at what's coming in the future. There's a comment about that. And that leads me to believe that either A, the Kraken will have its holo viewer up proudly like they've done in the past, or B, and what I'm hoping is that somewhere the Kraken exterior is visible. There's been no sign that they're doing that. Mature Gamer, thank you for the follow. There's been no sign that they're doing that. Jeremy D, thank you for the follow as well. Sorry, I'll come back and catch a couple of these followers. Everyone, appreciate it. There's no sign that they're doing that, but I do think that it's interesting that there's an audio file specifically centered around getting sort of a sneak peek at what Drake has coming next. Now, the other big news in this audio file, and this is huge, is that they specifically say that next, or they say at the 2957 Defensecon. So just so everyone knows, if you're new to Star Citizen, the in-game year this year is 2956. Okay, we're in 2956. That is the in-game lore year. They say that in 2957, so next year our time, at Defensecon, Drake will unleash the Kraken. Essentially saying that at next year's Defensecon, the Kraken will go flight ready. Now, this isn't a huge surprise. I've said it a few times. I know Execute from Info Runners has said it a few times as well. We've said that based off where the Kraken is in its development pipeline, it seems likely that it will be, it'll be likely that it's in a good place for release around that time. So that's the first confirmation. So what does that mean? That means the Kraken will be flight ready in 1 year. 1 year from now. Which means the Kraken only has 2 more opportunities to purchase at its concept price. Everyone keep that in mind. Someone pointed that out to me just the other day when I was talking about this audio file that leaked out. And this is official, by the way. This audio file is official. So that means you can either buy it this Invictus or this Defensecon. Yep, via the F5 war. Or at this year's IAE. Right? So those are your 2 big... Do they sell it during CitizenCon? Chat, remind me, do they sell the Kraken during CitizenCon? I can't remember. I always forget. But we don't even know if CitizenCon's coming. We're going to talk about that anyway in a minute. But no, okay, everyone's saying no. Some are saying yes, but some are saying no. Most are saying no. So essentially, again, we won't have another Kraken sale opportunity tomorrow or next year until Defensecon. So 2 more opportunities to get the Kraken at its current concept price. Now, the current concept price for the Kraken, I believe, chat, correct me if I'm wrong, is 1,400 war bond or 1,650 credit. Those are U.S. prices. Okay. So what will it go up to? That's the big question. What will it go up to? Well, we know the Idris went up to 1,900 something, right? 1,900. Chat, what is Warbond Idris right now? If you can snag one, what is the Warbond Idris price? The question is, will the Kraken go higher than that? I think it will. I think the Kraken will be more expensive than the Idris. Yes, the Idris is a military ship. Well, not the Idris P, actually. The Idris P is the Peacekeeper variant. But I do think the Kraken will be more expensive. Right? So it's gonna go under a pretty big price jump. I could see the Kraken going to like 2,200 war bond after it goes flight ready. I could see that all day long. 2,200, 2,300 war bond. I could absolutely see that. DY says hobbies are getting expensive. Tell me about it. If I didn't have my background cut out, you all would see the wall behind me, and it's full of rare guitars. Yeah, all my hobbies are expensive. Believe it or not, Star Citizen is the least expensive of my hobbies. For those of you that are into guitars, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. call out a couple of follows here. Grizz Moreno, Big Daddy, Jerem D, Mature Gaming, Firefly. Do appreciate those follows. Appreciate you. Now, Firebeam brings up a good point here. There will also be the Drake Complete Pack, which just does offer you a path to the Kraken if you get one of those. Obviously, very, very expensive. So, for those of you that are new to Star Citizen, do we have any Star, like, people that are new to the game? Like, are you new to this thing? Raul Mateo says no caster. Yeah, I have a few fenders. If you're new to Star Citizen, how does as a matter of fact, let me go to it real quick here. I want to go back to my full face for a minute. Stand by, everyone. Let me go to something real quick here. I'll switch back over. If you go to the shop, right, and you go to the pledge store and you go to ships, right? Let's say we go to ships. Let's say you are a new player and you jump right into the deep end and you're like, I want this big capital ship, right? And let's say, okay, I want to buy a ship, right? A standalone ship. Okay. And you're like, I really want a Pioneer, right? Or actually, let's go to a different ship. Let's stay on Drake for a minute. Let's say you are, let me go to unavailable. Let's say you're one of those people and you're like, I've made a decision. I want a Kraken. Okay. If you go to the page, you will notice it says, it says here unavailable for purchase, right? And then it obviously says here view offers. Okay. Arcane with a $10 donation. Appreciate that. Dear Macabre with a $10 donation. Thank you very much. There is the view offers, right? And I click on those view offers and it's going to pull up whatever offers are available. Currently, the only one obviously being the Legatus pack, which is the big bad boy at $48,000. Okay. Obviously that one is on a different level. There's no way to just get the Kraken as a standalone ship. And that is because it is what's referred to as a hull limited ship. Now, those of you that have been playing Star Citizen a long time, you know about hull limited ships. Now, this is new information to you, but remember there's new players out there who may be wondering, why can't I buy the ship I want to buy? Well, there are hull limited ships. These hull limited ships tend to be capital ships. Okay. So Kraken, Javelin, Pioneer, Kraken Privateer. There's a few of these. Okay. Some ships that were previously hull limited do come off hull limited status. We just recently had the Hull E, sort of the big bad boy of the cargo gameplay loop, was hull limited, has now come off of hull limited status. What does hull limited status mean, though? It means that when CIG sells them, they sell them at one or two events a year, and they'll sell them in waves. Okay, so let's say with the Kraken, they may say, okay, we're going to do 3 waves of sales, and they'll tell you the exact time those sales are going to occur. So let's say the Kraken sale waves are going to be on a Saturday. Okay, it might be Saturday at 8 in the morning. Then there'll be a wave 2. It's Saturday at 1 in the afternoon, and then wave 3 will be Saturday at like 9 p.m. at night. Okay, so over the course of that day, they'll do the 3 waves. Each wave, we don't know for sure, but we estimate each wave can be 50 ships or 100 ships, but that's as many as they'll sell, and that's it. You won't see any more past that, right? Until the next time CIG does waves. So when you see people say F5, what they're referring to is the F5 war. Okay. Knusper says Odin pictures were already leaked. No, we don't have any Odin pictures yet. But when people refer to the F5 war, what they're referring to is people will get ready on the sale page as soon as that wave is about to start, usually about 5 minutes early, and they just start hitting F5 to refresh their page. Because the moment this changes from view offers to add to cart or buy now or whatever it says, I think it says buy now, you have to click on it immediately and try to get through the purchasing process as quickly as you can before it sells out, which means you need to have your payment stuff already locked in, like your payment card, whatever credit card you're putting it in, already needs to be locked into your payment credentials. You can't add that after the fact. You will not be fast enough. Some of these F5 wars can be over in a matter of seconds. Like when I say 3 seconds, it's already sold out. Some of these ships will sell out in 3 seconds. I can promise you that this year during Defensecon, the Kraken credit version, the one you buy with store credit, will sell out within 3 seconds probably. Right? In addition, the war bond versions that you pay real money for, sometimes they last a little bit longer. Sometimes they can last an hour. Sometimes it's less than. Sometimes it's over in 5 minutes. I've seen that happen too. Who was it that said it? I saw your comment. I want to credit you for saying it. Pain and Hate says, not only that, or says, was it two? Pain and Hate? Jill says, not only that, I think you need to be concierge to buy them, which is exactly right. You do need to be concierge, I think, to access the hull limited ships. But that does happen. I've seen new players hit concierge a month after starting to play the game, sometimes thinking that hitting concierge allows you to buy the hull limited ships. It does, but you still have to take part in the wave, right? Feathers McCall says the Warbond Kraken will be available for a little while after Wave 2. Yeah, I suspect it will be. However, I will say that now that people know the Kraken is aiming for flight ready next Defensecon, people already know that they've only got 2 more chances to buy it. So I expect it to sell out really quickly again for Warbond. Now, people are pointing out that the Warbond Pioneer is available, which is a true statement. And I'll go back to this. We'll go to Consolidated Outland here. So if I go to Consolidated Outland, we go to the Pioneer, which is right here. I believe you said under View Offers, I believe they have Warbond version that is still limited stock, meaning it's currently available. The credit version sold out, but this one's still available. Now, here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. The Pioneer doesn't have a release date marked yet. The Kraken now does. Defensecon 2027. The Pioneer, we don't know when that's coming. Could come into next year, could come in 2028. We don't know. I slightly suspect it's 2028, to be quite honest. Gallowalloway says, question, would you recommend doing your Kraken buyback now? Absolutely. If you have a Kraken in buyback and you plan on wanting that ship, I would get that out of buyback as soon as possible. For one, there's no guarantee that they will not raise the price of the Kraken this Defensecon. There's no guarantee that they won't do that. They could raise the price of it at IAE, right? And CIG maintains the right to adjust those buyback prices. Cyborg Drag says, question, do you think the Warbond Kraken will have LTI? It does. It does have LTI, I believe. Yep. I have one. I have a Warbond Kraken, and it does have LTI. Yeah. Jill says, Grim, the Pioneer has only 6 months insurance at the moment. I think that's why it's still available. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's a sub $1,000 ship. I do think when the Pioneer goes flight ready, it'll be over $1,000. I do think the Pioneer is a ship that CIG should give LTI towards, but we'll have to see. Old Man Observer makes a great point. Says, remember, folks, buyback is not for ship storage. They can remove a buyback without notice. We just saw that recently. So that can happen. Can happen. Okay. PGR, Snaz, thank you for the follows. Do appreciate you. I am keeping an eye out for any level up news. I haven't seen any. I don't think you all have either. Let me know if you do, though. Let me know if you do. So let's talk about the other audio file. There was another audio file that came out in addition to the stand by everybody. In addition to the Kraken audio file, and that was one on the Odin. First off, they specifically call it the Odin battle cruiser, right? So the battle cruiser is called the Odin. We can put away any speculation on that. The other thing they say is that it will have a unique holographic display at the top of the IO tower. Okay, so those of us that are in Evo, we've gone to the top of the IO tower. When you get up there, there's the torpedoes and the turrets from the Idris sitting out on the walkway that you can see from last year. But then all the posters have been switched to Drake posters. But there's no ship sitting at the end of the gantry. It's empty. You know, I suspected maybe the Kraken would be up there, the exterior, which I still think can happen. Sniper, you're on your way to the Expo. Okay, great. Sniper, if you, I don't know if you have Sniper VT. I don't know if you have, actually, I'm going to grab you real quick, Sniper. Where are you? Stand by. Sniper, I'm going to whisper you. I'm going to whisper you and say, have fun. But Sniper, if you hear any good tidbits from CIG while you're there, if you hear any cool news, whisper me on Twitch, or if you're friend me on Discord, feel free to. If you hear anything interesting, newsworthy, or whatever, feel free to ping me. I'd be glad to hear it. I'm sure everyone else would as well. You know, don't pry, but if CIG offers up anything that you think is interesting, or even if it's an offhanded comment, you know what I mean, without any real news, you know, feel free to pass it along. So, Kranos Prime resubscribe with Prime. Been a subscriber for 5 months. Thank you very much. Carpelito, thank you for the follow. Do appreciate it. Everyone, we are at 8,364 followers on Twitch, which is insane. On YouTube, we have 362 viewers. So 366 viewers on YouTube, 190 on Twitch. That is incredible, everyone. That was incredible. I forgot these during the day streams can be very popular. Should I get back to doing a during the day stream during the week? I stopped doing those, but I could easily get back to doing them. Maybe there's something there. Maybe I start doing a Friday during the day stream. Would everyone like that? So I would do my Tuesday evening or my Wednesday evening stream. I do a Friday during the day stream, like we're doing now, and then I do the Sunday stream. How does that sound, everybody? If that sounds good to everyone, I will just start locking that in from here on forward, and and I'll just get that locked into my schedule. I'm hearing a lot of yeses. Okay, I'll make that happen. So starting from this week forward, I will make sure that I do the Friday during the day stream. I know when I did the during the day stream on Tuesdays, people really liked it. So I'll get back to doing that. So let's talk about this Odin holographic display. First off, I can't wait to see what state the Odin is in from a concept mesh standpoint. And the big question mark with the Odin, I'd love for you all to chime in on what your opinions on this one might be. Will CIG say, hey, here's the next concept. It's the Anvil Odin. We don't have an ETA on it. It's concept. Or do you think CIG could perhaps say, hey, everyone, here's the Anvil Odin. It's a concept ship, but it is going into development soon. They don't have a release date yet for it, but saying that it is going into development soon, I think would be a smart idea for CIG. there's sort of two ways to announce a concept ship. Let's be honest. There's announcing a concept ship, how they used to do back in the old days, right? Where they announce the concept ship and then we don't hear about it for 10 years. Or there's announcing the concept and saying it's going into production in a year or in, whatever. I actually think CIG is going to do just that. I think the Anvil Odin is not only going to be a concept ship, obviously we know that, but it's going to be a concept ship that is going into production soon. Soon meaning within a year. Now, I don't know how long the ship will take to make. That's a whole other discussion. It could take 3 years for them to build this thing. But I do think that they'll announce that it's going into some level of production within a year. Nacho says, Grim, I'm ready to trade up from my Idris to Odin. Just joined the stream. Do you think it will have hangars for light ships? I do. I think it'll have some carrier capability. Carriers are very popular. I think players like the concept of ship carriers, and especially with tech like refuel, repair, rearm, and all that kind of stuff. I think people want that service on any sort of capital ship, especially a big capital ship like that. I think they want some minimal level of that. I mean, remember, even the Javelin has a big hangar in it that can take like a Redeemer size ship or even a few small light fighters and stuff, right? So yeah, and I mean, obviously there is, we're 50% of the way to our sub goal. Thank you very much, everyone. Xenon says, Javelin can take up to a Valkyrie, right? I forgot about that. Yeah, I was thinking Redeemer, but yeah, I think Valkyrie is what I've heard as well. So again, the big question being, when's it going into development? I think that will also be a deciding factor in how much interest there is. First off, I don't think they're going to have any problem selling it. There's plenty of people with deep pockets. They're going to sell this thing all day long. Oh, $70 donation from Cairo. Is it Cairo? Hopefully Cairo or Kiro. Thank you for your donation. Do appreciate that greatly. Everyone, we're up to, I just want to point this out. We're up to $25,667 raised, which is amazing. That's incredible. With a total STARJUMP lifetime fundraising amount of $66,225. That's incredible. That is incredible. Big salute to you all. The real DJM99 says, you plan on buying the Odin? So here's what I've done. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pause this video for a second, and I'm going to swing over to, bear with me, everybody. I'm going to bring in something. So this is my current fleet, right? Someone mentioned bean. Do I owe a bean? We've had some donations today. I owe a bean. I owe y'all a bean. We'll get back to this in just a second. We're going to answer the question on the Odin. Got Bean Boozled here. For those of you who don't know how Bean Boozled works, there's 2 jelly beans that look alike throughout there, like Duke Twin jelly beans, but they have different flavors, so you kind of don't know what flavor you're getting. You can kind of see the different flavors here. You can see how there's like 2 blue ones right here. Well, you could get, when you get a blue one, it could either be toothpaste or berry blue flavor, right? So you don't know. That's the fun in it. So we're gonna grab one here. We're gonna grab one here. Do a random pull out. There we go. All right. So this is a black one, and black can be, according to the booklet. Oops, stand by, everyone. Let me hold it up. There's our black jelly bean. It can either be burnt rubber or licorice. Burnt rubber or licorice. Bottoms up. Thank you for the donations, everyone. You all are killer. We got some amazing raffles going on. And by the way, if you were wondering if we were going to have new ships for May, we are, and we'll announce that very soon. There's going to be a whole roster of ships given away at May that we haven't even told you about. Okay. Here we go, everybody, down the hatch. It's burnt rubber. Knew that immediately, because even licorice would have been good here. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. Here, the burnt rubber is the best tasting of all the nasty ones, but it's not good. It's not good. I don't know how to describe it. Burnt rubber's the bad one. Yeah. Hippita. Sorry. Thank you for subscribing over on YouTube. Liam, thanks for the follow on Twitch. This will be hard to get down. I'm going to have to work on this for a minute. But yeah, I'll work on it. 1 second, everyone. Sorry, I just had a message from my wife come in. Yeah, not great. Not great. But you all donated. I'm going to do another bean here in a little bit. Okay. I'll work on that. So here's my fleet. There's a lot of small ships here. There's a lot of ships that are duplicates. So for example, the reason I have this many ironclads is 2 of these are for giveaways, which by the way, if you want to get in on, if you want a chance at winning an ironclad, I'm doing an ironclad giveaway, completely free to enter. You can scan the QR code right there if you want to enter it. You enter by going to my Gleam link, gleam.io. Gleam.io is a way of doing giveaways. I just posted the Gleam link down there. I will be giving away an ironclad on May 27th. So if you want an opportunity, get in on the ironclad giveaway, go to the Gleam link or scan that QR code. But one of these is for the giveaway. Now, here's what I did. And this is how I'm going to get the Odin with credit, maybe, if I can win the F5 war. Sorry, I had to get that bean down. First thing I melted was the Idris. Put it over here in the melt pile. I melted the Idris, everyone. Not only melted the Idris P, but I melted the K kit and the T kit. Okay, so that is a total of $1,300 for the Idris. $350 for the K kit, I believe, or 300 or 350, and then 450 for the T kit. I think I got those prices right. Either way, it equaled about $2,000 credit just for melting that one ship, which is a big, you know, that's a big grab of credit right off the bat, right? Grim, has your Discord a distinct spoiler channel? Yes, in the STARJUMP Discord, you will find a channel called Leaks Discussion No Squadron 42. Inside that channel, you can post things. Which, by the way, I just noticed that channel. Stand by, everyone. I'm going to open it up. Okay. Yep. Yeah, there is a leaks discussion No Squadron 42 channel where you can post leaks if you have them. But I melted that. So that's $2,000 in credit right away. The next ship I am probably going to melt. Now see, some of these ships I can't melt. Why? Because I have them at such a stupidly low price that melting them would be stupid. Okay. Good examples of that are the Bandit Merchantman. I have it for $250. The Hull D, I have it for like $200. The Orion, I have this for like, I forget how low, like $150, something like that. So I cannot part with those ships. Okay. Won't part with the Kraken. It's my favorite ship, so we'll not be partying with that. So that leaves us with this bad boy. I think I'm melting the Javelin. The Javelin price, by the way, is $2,700. So I already had $700 in my account. I got that by melting some ships I didn't need. Ships like the Raft. I melted that. I melted, I think, a Prospector. I'm going to be melting my Zeus CL. I melted a few things and had about $700 in credit. I added the $2,000 from the Idris and its kit, so that's $2,700. Then I'm going to melt the Javelin, another $2,700 ship, which will push me up to, what is that, $5,200, $5,400 of credit, right? That is the money that I will have to attempt to get a battle cruiser. Now, if I get the battle cruiser, I'll then probably put it back into buybacks, like a lot of people will do, and then I will get my Javelin back, because I am excited about the Javelin. Real quick, so I see what you posted in the leaks, and I'll address that real quick just so everyone knows, because this did come up the other day. So real quick at the battle cruiser, people have been posting this, but just so everyone knows, this is fake. This is not the real ship. This is not the real ship. The reason we know this is not the ship, and it's a pretty simple one, is the logo's wrong. That's not the Anvil logo. AI changed it. AI changed it in a weird way. Also, the way that the logo is applied to the ship here is very unlike CIG. Now, what I will say, Newspur, is I love this design. I love this design. I would like for this to be the ship, because I think it looks really badass. It looks like what an Anvil battle cruiser would look like, right? Definitely looks the part. But, oh, Kraken just flew overhead. Thank you very much for that. Who raided us? Let's see. Stand by. Kiz with a raid. Thank you very much, Kiz. Appreciate you. Hope you had a great stream. Thanks for bringing you and your party over here. No, Cooper, don't feel bad about posting this. This picture has been making the rounds lately. And it is a really cool design. It's a really cool design. Actually, I like this design more than I like, you know, the look of the Javelin or the look of the Bengal. I think this looks really, really sweet. I mean, it's like an instant buy for me. I love the shape language in it. But it's not real. It's not real, unfortunately. Yeah, I've heard a couple people say it looks like the Anaconda from Elite Dangerous. But it is missing another important thing for Anvil ships, which is the Anvil ships always have a circular design language up on the top or the bottom. I think on the Liberator it's on the bottom, but Anvil ships always have sort of a circular thing back here, or sometimes on ships like the Hornet, that circular motif is where the turret is, but Anvil ships generally have that shape language going on. I think the only one that doesn't, again, is the Liberator, and that's because they put it on the bottom, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that is fake, but who knows? Maybe CIG was inspired by it to some degree. So, yeah, so these two ships being melted, along with some smaller inconsequential ships. Inconsequential? Is that the right word? Yeah, I think it's the right word. So that's currently what I've melted for the Odin. I have no clue if it's going to be even remotely possible to get it with credit. I don't know how CIG is even approaching the sale. They may do it to where they do offer Javelin owners a path, right? Maybe they don't. I'm not really sure. They also could just do the standard F5 war approach, right? So I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Really not sure. We also haven't seen. It'll be interesting to see what the design language of the ship is, because we don't really know where CIG would go with that scale of Anvil ship. We've seen two large Anvil ships, the Carrack and the Liberator, and they could not be more different, right? They could not be more different from a design standpoint. And even the next biggest Anvil ship, the Crucible, I believe, is even more wildly different. You know, it's not until we start getting down to the Valkyrie, the Asgard, ships like that, that we start seeing some familiar design languages carry out over multiple ships. So I don't know where the Odin is going to land. It could look very much like that a fan made creation or AI creation. It could. We'll just have to see. We'll have to see. I do think, and this is an opinion, I personally love the ships that lean heavily into, I hate to say it, but boat designs, right? So the Kraken, the Perseus, stuff like that, I think are some of the most successful. Not always. I mean, I'm not saying that those are the only ones successful. I do love the look of the Javelin. I think the Idris is pretty successful looking, especially its newer look, which is, let me pull that up right here. You know, this is the newer Squadron 42 look of the Idris. So I think that I love that parallel. Now, there's edge cases. I love the Gatac Raylan. You know, I love the Corsair, which the Corsair does have some boat-like aspects to it. But I do sort of like that naval warfare, World War II fantasy that CIG kind of digs into, especially with some of their large ships, right? Even take the Pioneer, for example, right? Which, do I have that image? Stand by. Again, there's people new. There's people new to Star Citizen here, so I want to make sure I pull up some of the stuff I'm talking about. Even ships like the Pioneer right here. Let's see if it loads. It'll load in a second. The Pioneer is another ship that borrows heavily on ship design, right? It's got certain elements that look like it is pulled directly from like a big cargo ship, you know, with the big long bridge section up here, the big long slab body. It's got that feel, right? Which I kind of like. Yeah, Cody Cooper says Ironclad is a barge ship. At least it feels like that. Yeah, 100%. MB Wheeler says it'd be funny funny as all get out if they ended the limited sales model. It's possible. The only way I would see, I could see CIG ending that sales model is a couple of ways. One, well, for one, I don't think they would end it. I think they would just do more sail waves at first. So instead of the 3 sail waves for concept ships, we would see maybe like 6 or 9, sort of like they've done with the Idris. Now that the Idris is flight ready, they do a lot more sail waves. But yeah, I mean, I think if they get to a place where fundraising is falling back, or they're not raising as much as whatever internal goals they're trying to hit, I think they could decide to end hull limited sales to bring in more money and or just open up a bunch more waves. You got to remember, though, too, that artificial, limitations to availability is still a very successful, albeit controversial, marketing or sales tactic. I know CIG sometimes gets hate for it, but CIG is far from the only company that does it. Lots of companies do it for all types of digital items, right? It definitely happens. I think when the project first started, I think it started from a genuinely good position, where CIG was trying to not only limit the ships from a sales marketing standpoint, but also limit them just because they didn't want a bunch of Idrises flying around. You know what I mean? Not only because they didn't know if their technology would support it, but, they just probably didn't know how that would affect the balance of the game, if it was healthy for the game, all that kind of stuff. So I think there was a cautious approach there, to how CIG was doing that. whether it's still relevant in this day and age with how CIG does, their server tech, their core tech. I don't know. I don't know how relevant it is into, with where the game currently stands. We haven't heard CIG really talk. I mean, they've talked about server meshing and stuff, but they haven't really talked a lot about, how server meshing genuinely affects how many large ships can be in one area, right? I mean, we know there's an effect. And obviously we would think with dynamic server meshing, there'll be some, some creative sharding. I gotta be careful saying that word, that keeps certain performance metrics, in line, even when there's large capital ships in the area. And I think it's much more complicated than just how many ships are in the area. I think it has to do with things like viz areas, really highly optimized culling, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot that goes into that, but just something to keep in mind. And just how big and complicated a ship is. You know what I mean? I've heard people say before, for example, and I never understood this, they would say, oh, the Kraken's not going to come out until they have dynamic server meshing. I always knew that was false because there's been, I've seen before just in our current servers where there's like 20 Idrises in the same area. It can be handled, maybe not always efficiently and with, performance at 60 frames a second, obviously, but you can do it. But that pales in comparison to what even bigger ships are going to bring, battle cruisers, javelins, future Bengals, or future space stations or bases that we can build out, right? So, again, there's a lot of optimization tech that goes on into that. Let me go back to my thing here. Stand by, everyone. We talked a little bit about Defensecon. We went over that Flash video. We got a little bit of that. There was some additional information. Let's see here. Again, only new ships noted were the Mist Starlight, the Aegis Tiburon, and Drake Pitbull. Again, I'm thinking the Pitbull is most likely... I'm thinking it's a ground vehicle from Drake, a combat ground vehicle, maybe even to compete with the Nova. So we got a question here. Snaz says, question, I have a Kraken, an F7A, and a Gollum Ox. Having a hard time picking a daily that complements the Kraken. What you think? Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think that either one of them can sit proudly on the deck of your Kraken. I think this goes a little bit into the Kraken itself, which is the Kraken to me was the first capital ship I purchased. Why was it the first capital ship? It was very, very easy answer on that one. It's the only capital ship that is flexible. You can set it up to be a combat support ship, frontline ship. You can set it up to be an industrial support ship. You can set it up to be a cargo transport way station. It's got a lot of flexibility, or mobile or base, base of operations. It really can be a lot of things, right? Where the Idris is really sort of built around a specific type of role. Yes, you can do industrial operations out of it for sure, but the Idris is sort of like built around a role. The Kraken is really built around a few roles. Other capital ships, though, like the Pioneer, it's a base builder. The Orion's a miner. The Endeavor, it's a modular science ship, right? But the Kraken is, in my opinion, the most flexible for what you're getting. And I think, for example, you're going to be able to put crafting machines in it, and using the Maglock decorator mode, you're going to be able to build out the cargo areas to be your own shops. So people can come and land and do shopping on your ship. You're not even going to need the privateer. You can just build your own shops. again, it made the most sense in that regard. So if you have an F-7A Mark II, you have a Drake Golem, park them on the deck. Your Kraken can support those operations, whether it's combat, whether it's industrial. That's sort of the beautiful thing about it. It can sort of be whatever you want. And also, you got to remember too, the Kraken can carry 3,794 SCU of cargo. God, I hope I have that right. Let me know if I don't. That's a hell of a lot of cargo, right? That's enough cargo that the Kraken can starts to get into that area where it's paying for itself, right? You can do cargo transport with it and hopefully sort of pay the bills on the upkeep of the ship. Offset those, you can offset those costs, those upkeep costs, those operation costs, right? Any other questions? Pop them into chat. I'll be glad to try to answer them or give you my opinion on them. Feel free to drop those in. We've gone over the majority of the news that has come out. Again, I think the biggest bit of news out of the last 2 days, even over the news flash video that popped out today, I think the biggest news to me is the confirmation of the Kraken going flight ready at Defensecon 2027. I think CIG is specifically doing that, letting us know, because they're trying to say, hey, you want this thing? Now's the time, because now is the cheapest you're going to get it. Zap 500 says, question, is the Kraken able to go into Atmo from what we know? Yes, it's able to go in the atmosphere and able to land on the surface of planets. That's what it does. As a matter of fact, I can. It's one of the few big capital ships like that can do that. You can actually see it here. Landed. This was in Lorville at one time. They had it landed. This was for a sitcom presentation. There's another video of it, or another still image of it landed. It's a big ship, but you absolutely can do that. I think, do I have, stand by everyone. Thought I had, I was looking for a specific video, which I don't think I saved. Yep, but yes, easily can go out in the atmosphere. It's going to not fly very well. I mean, it's a giant capital ship, but yes, you can go into Atmo with it. Back to questions. Forrester69 says, is there a chance we get a shadow drop / release of the Javelin, or will they wait to release it with Squadron 42? You know, originally I was thinking maybe they will drop the Javelin at Invictus. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think they're going to save it for Squadron 42's release. As a matter of fact, if they do come out and talk about Squadron at all, I think they may even say something to that degree. So yeah, I think it's coming with Squadron or soon after, like they originally said. We'll have to see. And then on that, to the next question here from Hank Reardon. Question, what was your Squadron 42 theory from earlier? Well, originally my Squadron 42 theory was that we were going to get an announcement either at Level Up today or during Defensecon about where Squadron's landing. Possibly the game packages going back on sale, possibly a target release month, maybe later this fall. I still think that's very highly possible that during, Defensecon that could happen. Defensecon ends on May 27th. I do think that CIG could surprise us with a special something at the end of Defensecon. I think that's very possible. So I wouldn't give up total hope on getting some Squadron news at this event. It might come through a lore post. It may come through a post that relates back to the whole thing where the UEEN is going to Seoul for Invictus. Maybe we get like a bit of information that comes to us from Seoul that talks about Squadron 42, how they could probably build that into the lore of it a little bit. So who knows? I still think there's hope there. Some of the changes we've seen, I think it's possible. It's possible. Gentile says you've been hanging out with Execute too long, Graham. He's got you. No. My hopium is always based off what I think is evidence. And I don't think we can argue that there's been evidence lately of Squadron 42 rumblings. The website got updated. The Squadron 42 game packages went on ice. There's a lot of stuff that has changed just in the last week. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to get Squadron 42 news, but it definitely means they're working on stuff. And I would say, just as someone who's worked in marketing for 25 years, if it's going to release this year, if that is still the plan, and I do think it's still the plan, then we really do need to hear something about the game plan soon. They should not shadow drop Squadron 42 on us. That would be a disaster, in my opinion. They need to do a proper, can be short, but a proper marketing campaign. But we need to hear about it soon, or I'm really concerned about their release plan. But again, I think CIG's got a plan in place. We just don't know what it is yet, and it's going to be good. Galloway says, do you think we'll get an Ironclad as a Kraken loaner? Yes, I do think we will. I think we'll get an Ironclad as the Kraken loaner. Maybe the Ironclad Assault even, but probably just the Ironclad, though. Feathers McClaw says, question, do you think the Argo SRVs as tugboats helping ships out of Atmo is ever going to happen? That's a good question. I actually think CIG is going to move away from that. I think CIG is going to just say, hey, or if Drake is building the capital ship, Drake's just going to build the amount of VTOLs into it that one would need to get out of Atmo. You know what I mean? Now, you'll get out of Atmo very slow. If you're trying to get out of Atmo in a quick, fast, and in a hurry, you may need some tugboats pulling on you. But I personally think that every capital ship should be able to get itself out of atmosphere, from like get off the surface of a planet and out of Atmo if it's supposed to be able to land on the surface of a planet. The Kraken is supposed to be able to, so I think it should be able to have that ability. Now, yes, I know there will be planets with very high gravity that's really difficult, but we haven't seen those in game yet. I don't know if CIG will ever go that far with it. We'll have to see. MB Willis's question. So a grand finale for Defensecon? Yeah, essentially. I mean, I think we could still have that. They may be specifically not telling us about it because they don't want to sort of give it up before before it's time. They want to keep it as a big surprise special announcement. Like, for example, I could definitely see when we get to the end of Defensecon, there being a special video announcement from Chris Roberts. Who knows? You know what I mean? It could be sort of a video version of Letter from the Chairman, but maybe it's centered around Squadron 42 and has some news in it. I think it's very possible. I mean, if this is the release year, I don't think it's crazy to think every single month there could be a Squadron announcement. We're in the release year. I think the same thing about GTA. If this is GTA's release year, every month that goes by, I think, well, this could be the month. This could be the month they tell us something or give us a new trailer. And you wouldn't be crazy to think that. It's the release month. It's the release year. These are the years that those type of things happen. Yeah. Byron Jen says, yep, the Kraken is supposed to be one of the largest ships that can land. Yep, that is. I think it's currently listed, or currently is the largest ship that can land. Currently is the largest ship that can land. I think I may have saw a question about, will the Ironclad base version be at Defensecon or just the Assault? Both versions will be there. Both versions may not be on display, but both versions will be sold to go and flight ready during the event. What other questions do we have here? Let's see here. What everyone's saying it's there. What's it's there? Let me know. Jorman Wrecker says, question, are you expecting the Auxilla with Defensecon? Lacking crafting doesn't seem to withhold the Ironclad Assault. The only reason I don't know if we're getting the Auxilia is it's not a combat ground vehicle. It's a generalist ground vehicle. It's going to have medical facility. Now, that could easily be put in that support hall, the hall that's focusing on support. Sorry, I didn't mean to have that still. It could easily be in that support hall, but we don't have any listing for it there. And remember, we've been getting about a ship every month so far, sometimes more, and we still have CitizenCon and IAE. There's still a lot of opportunities to sell for, sell the Auxilia. So I do think it's coming. I think there's plenty of opportunity for it. I am starting to doubt we'll see it at Defensecon, though. Yes, GTA will be a console release first, PC later. Nacho says, Grim, do you think they'll have a walkthrough of the Kraken? Well, I think that's a great question. Here's something that's really exciting for again, those of you that are new to Star Citizen. They always do an all ships show at Defensecon. And usually it's kind of split where they talk a lot about the ships that are just freshly released. So the Ironclad, the Starlight, Tiburon, etc. But then they will also talk about, let's see here. Sorry, 1 second. They also will talk about things like, stand by everyone. Let's see here. They also talk about some upcoming ships that are in development. So I am hoping, sincerely hoping, that during that event or during that video, they will give us an inside peek at the new Kraken interior build. You know what I mean? Even though it's going to be rough and still be in white box and gray box. I do hope we get a little bit of a preview. So I'm getting some people pointing it out. Let me go to it here. So here's MB Wheeler says, which IC loaner for the Liberator? I don't know. I have to look. So yes, it does look like Squadron 42 is now listed under the all products / game sections of the Pledge Store banner. So we'll look at that real quick. Let's go to here and let me refresh it. And if I go to the Pledge Store and go to all products, Squadron 42 is listed there. I guess that is new. And then that obviously takes you to the new Squadron 42 page. Again, with this all being new stuff here. This is all new. This background image is new, which shows the Kingship coming through the atmosphere. Some new stuff there. New graphic here. Still says launches 2026. So again, I think confidence is high. I do think confidence is high. So again, I think Genetonic asked about the hopium thing. Again, it's more just with the Squadron thing. It's more just based off stuff we've been hearing. So I would call that good evidence. It doesn't guarantee or mean anything, but it's evidence. And it's not me saying I think it will happen for sure. It's just me saying it's possible. It's possible. Pain and Hate says, question, with the Odin being concept, will its fleet view model be delayed? It'll take a little longer because I have to build it out. For those that don't know, when we take a hollow model and put it in the fleet viewer, it doesn't have any textures and it's very low detail. So I'll probably have to take it and build it out more. So that'll be slightly delayed, probably will take at least 2 weeks, but my aim is to get the battle cruiser into Fleet Viewer as soon as possible. Again, I'm excited for it as well. Yeah, Super Shoe, I don't think they're going to announce anything, a major Squadron announcement at Level Up, but what I was wondering if we were going to get some new Mustangs announced. That was what I was thinking. Forrester69 has a question, says, what other base building ships do we know about except the Pioneer, Starlight, and the Argo ground vehicle? So I think instead of Starlight, you mean Star Lancer. There's a Star Lancer build. That is the other one. And then there's the hover, the little hover starter ground vehicle. I forget what they call it. The construction grav cart, I think is what they called it. That one as well, which you kind of push around. It's not an actual vehicle, and you can push it into the back of ships. That's the other one we know of. Those are and then the Galaxy supposedly is going to have a base building module. There's some controversy around that. Maybe it just being a manufacturing module. I do think the Galaxy will get a base building module though at some point down the line. Thick 97.9 says, question, can we expect the release of the RSI Galaxy in May? No, it's an IAE ship, so it'll come in November. Galaxy will be in November. As a matter of fact, they just picked up work on it again. It had been paused. So yeah, currently targeting a November release for the Galaxy. Another big ship I'm looking forward to, though. Let's see here. We had another question here. Where'd it go? Kenjin NZ says, question, so where does this leave the Javelin? Is it still in production or renamed? No, it's still in production. It'll be the Javelin Destroyer. It's a Squadron 42 ship, so it's definitely locked. The last update we had on it, though, was that it was still had to have a few bits of work done to certain rooms. Specifically the 2 modular rooms, or possibly 5 modular rooms. I've heard both now in relation to the Squadron Javelin, or sorry, to the PU Javelin. So hopefully we'll get an update on that soon. I would like CIG to update us a little bit on the Javelin. I think the last update we had was in 2024. I want to say 2024, but that's it. That's the last update we've gotten. Any other questions? Any other questions from chat? Let me know. Hold for a minute here. See if we got a few more questions. I'm actually going to remind everybody that got these St. Jude raffles happening, everybody. Remember, next Wednesday, April 29th, we're raffling off a Hammerhead, $35 ticket price for that one when you donate. With our $60 donation towards the Tiltify link, you can get a Polaris ticket. Both the Hammerhead and the Polaris will be raffled on May 29th. We're going to do the drawings right on stream. So get in on that. $100 St. Jude donation via our Tiltify link will get you a Masters of Industry pack. It's a good way to get the whole Limited Pioneer. That's a $900 ship. Also get the Arastra, the whole B, the Reclaimer, the Mole, the Vulture, the Golem, and the C2 Hercules. No, you don't have to be at the stream to win. As long as you donate towards the St. Jude Tiltify link, you are in. You do not have to watch the stream to win. You will, though, and all these are courtesy of GearCon, by the way. Big shout out to GearCon. I think he might be in chat. Big shout out to him. This wouldn't be possible without him. But we will contact you after we do the drawing live on stream. We will, here, I'll put the link here. There you go. It's coming up in chat right now. There's the Tiltify link. Look for the raffle you want to donate towards, too. But the, hold on one second, everybody. But, all ships generously provided by GearCon. Winners will be contacted within 5 days of drawing via email. Winners will have 7 days from the time the notification email is sent to claim your prize. Failure to do so within that time window will result in a new drawing with a new winner. Okay. AKA 3913 says, question, will the Mauler be sold in the future? Doubt it. I doubt it. No, I don't think it will be. I doubt it. Oh, by the way, don't forget, we also have Squadron 42 game package raffles going on. $10 donation. You can go to the Tiltify link or scan the QR code. For $10, you can get in on the Squadron 42 game package charity raffle. We have 5 of these to give away. We're going to give these away this Sunday. So in 2 days, on my stream on Sunday night, we're going to give away 5 of these. Okay, so get in while you can, everybody. Not much time on these, and these are not able to be gotten anymore until they go back on sale. And yes, you can get multiple entries, Damon. If you want to donate to a particular raffle, just choose that raffle, donate the money you want, and it will count multiple entries. Yep. Okay. And again, in May, hasn't started yet, but in May, we'll have a Scorpius model, courtesy of Pigeon Spaceport, will be given away as well. Okay. A lot of stuff coming, a lot of stuff, including a whole new list of May ships, courtesy of GearCon. Who's in chat? Everyone give him an 07. Couple more questions here. Wild Sea says Odin store credit price 5,000, Warbron 4,500. Is that something you expect? At a minimum. If that's what it's going to cost, I think that'll be what it is at a minimum. Jill says, question, do we even know what modules we get for the Javelin? Will they be free for all that already own one, like the Apollo modules? We don't know. That's probably one of the biggest mysteries I hear talked about amongst the Javelin fans is what those modules are going to be, and we do not know yet. We don't know what they're going to be sold for. We don't know a lot about them, so eager to know more, though. Hudson Hawk says, question, Mr. Graham, considering that we have both announced concept ships still awaiting release and additional unannounced ships that tend to appear as surprises, is there any realistic way to estimate how many ships are still left before launch? No. We don't totally know. Oh my goodness. We just had a $300 donation come in from Damon 1331. Goodness, Jesus. Groceries for a family for 2 weeks. That is very, very helpful, Damon. Thank you very much. And getting in on that Masters of Industry pack. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. We'll be doing that raffle, the Masters of Industry raffle on May 30th. May 30th for that raffle. Thank you very much. It's very generous. We don't really know, Hudson Hawk, how many ships are left before the launch of 1.0. It's too hard to, we just don't know when 1.0 is. I do think that most of the backlog ships will be released for 1.0 with a few exceptions. Again, Genesis, Starliner, Endeavor. But I think most of the backlog should be caught up by then. Yeah. GearCon says just buy a raffle and you get a chance at that massive GearCon crafted pack of ships, the Masters of Industry. Exactly. Get in on it. And by the way, that Masters of Industry pack will not come in as like a single pack like CIG pack. It'll come in as individual ships from GearCon. Okay. If you win. What else? See, do any other questions? Thank you very much, Damon, for that donation. Everyone, we're literally $33 away from hitting $26,000. This is just our chit-chat daytime stream, and we've raised a good chunk of money. We've raised almost $1,500 already, if not a little bit more, $1,700. Sam Lowry says, guitar showcase soon? Yes, I will do a guitar showcase. That will be a good milestone. Maybe that will be my $28,000 milestone. For money raised. Guitar showcase. I'd be happy to do it. I'd be very happy to do that. Corey K says, hello, will the Galaxy be sold at this May event? No, I don't think it will be. Newspur says, question, how many 32 SCU containers duct tape is recommended for Kraken owners? Hey, look. I won't accept that insulting of the Kraken, okay? Actually, no. The Kraken is going to be a pretty tough ship, first off. It's got nice big capital shields, capital armor, capital components. It's going to have some staying power. Genton says most ships are sold. I'd be surprised if it weren't. Yeah, most ships are sold during this event. Generally, it's ships that are combat focused or have a variant that is combat focused. The Galaxy has medical, refining, and cargo modules. They still could technically sell it because it could be considered a support ship. We'll have to see what CIG does. On to Genetonic's point, though, I would say that I would prefer it sold. Only to give people another chance before IAE to grab one, because you may not have any other opportunities except for maybe when the ship goes for sale. right? So you may not have many more chances to get that. The Galaxy at its concept price. So just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. Okay. Any more questions? By the way, we have a huge turnout today. Oh my goodness. $95 just came in from Fathead Fits towards the RSI Polaris and Aegis Hammerhead, possibly more. Fathead, thank you very much, buddy. Appreciate that. That's an incredible donation as well. We are up to $26,062. Lifetime fundraising from STARJUMP at $66,620 for St. Jude. The money has rolled in today, everyone. This was just going to be kind of a casual chit-chat stream with you all. I was hoping a few donations were going to come in, but you all went crazy. You went crazy, and we've raised about $1,800 today, which is incredible. And that's all to you all. Give yourselves a giant 07, everybody. You do deserve it. You do an incredible work for sick kids and their families. Remember, when you donate to St. Jude via our Tiltify link, that money does not come to STARJUMP in any way. We don't touch it. We don't have access to it. It goes from Tiltify to St. Jude. We have no ability to access it all. So when you donate, donate with confidence, okay? Peak says, question, do you think the Aegis Tiburon will be a large ship similar to the Hammerhead / Perseus to round out the gap between the two? Yeah, I think it's going to be Hammerhead sized. I think it'll be mostly the Hammerhead with a few changes to its exterior. Yeah. Lord Nye says, Kraken is too much ship for me. Hoping we get more news about the Liberator soon. Lord, you can always serve on my Kraken as a crew member, though. Don't forget that, everyone. Just because you don't own a big capital ship, those cap ships are going to need crew members. And that's going to be a lot of fun, too. Hudson Hawk says, question, Mr. Grimm, would it be possible to perform small ambient animations in Star Citizen, such as smoking, leaning against ship walls, or similar casual actions, not only as automatic idle animations, but also as action players can manually trigger to make characters feel more alive? Do I see a need for this? Actually, I do. I do think it helps with the RP side of things. If any of the games that people do like heavy RP in, those type of extra emotes do go a long ways in making things feel a little bit more natural, being able to perform actions that are a little bit more subtle to evoke a certain character trait or something. So personally, I hope they do that, but I'm also an RPer. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are into RP that could give a rat's ass about that, but I personally do hope they bring that into the game, Hudson. And it'd be something cool for the character team to do, and you could bind those keys if you want, and if you have no interest in it, you just don't bind those keys. So yeah. Dulwis says, what ship would a Fender Mustang Competition Blue all original from 1965 give me? Ooh. Damn, Dulwis. If you have that guitar, what ship would that get you? That's the problem. It should get you a Javelin. Easily get you a Javelin. Maybe even a battle cruiser. Probably a battle cruiser, but the problem, actually more than a battle cruiser, because that guitar is worth a lot more than that. But the problem is those ships that are over $1,000 you can't gift. Otherwise, I'd be sending you one for that guitar. Great guitar. Very jealous. Persuaded Terrace says, question, with this year being labeled Defensecon and no mention of Invictus, is it possible they'll shift away from the combat-only pledges available? Well, we'll see that a little bit. I think we'll see that a little bit as with those halls in the wing, some of those were support halls and stuff like that. So yeah, I think we will see that. Novert92 says, question, do you think we'll see news on CitizenCon soon? God, I hope so. If we don't, that really makes me think Squadron 42 is releasing sometime in October. I'm starting to think that. Kenjin says, question, bit of a different one. If you could design a ship of your favorite game place, what would it be and what would you name it? I think I understand your question. If I could design a ship, it would be a Drake ship, and it would probably be a base builder. It'd be Drake's version of a Pioneer if I could design one. Question, Grim, do you expect the Tiburon to have a silhouette so different from the Hammerhead that it doesn't look like the Hammerhead shark? I think it'll be very similar to the Hammerhead in shape, but I think it will have 1 to 2 significant exterior changes. Think very much like the Asgard and Valkyrie. Similar, but still different. So, Socially Confused says, Sergeant Grim, you should have a stream where you play guitar as a charity goal. Yeah, but I only know metal music though. I don't know if people want to sit around and listen to me play metal for a charity. Maybe, I don't know. Lobo says, question, any thought on how should CIG address the solo capital issue? How make a crew more necessary? Well, I think that's easy, Lobo, and I think that's just through the systemic nature of their design, or at least the design they're heading for. You're going to be able to fly a capital ship solo. John Cruz already confirmed as much. Because you might only just be getting it from point A to point B. $10 from Under Fire. Thank you very much, Under Fire. Thank you for that. You might just be getting it from A to B, and you should be able to jump in it by yourself and fly it A to B. But you shouldn't really be able to do anything efficiently in the ship because you should have a crew for that. And I think the very nature of how these ships are designed, I think that they are going to require crew to perform at even a low level of efficiency. So I think by the very nature of the design, crews are going to be necessary. I really do. Ruben Source says, Squadron 42 releasing on October 10th, the birthday of CIG. Very possible. Ruben's calling it now. Very, very possible. Go follow Ruben on X, Twitter. He's got he's always really good at posting news over there. In a very timely manner. Jen and Tonk says, not sure why anyone would want a second-rate Pioneer. Jen, crossing the line. Crossing the line. We're insulting Drake. You know that's a no-no on this channel. We just don't do it. Best manufacturer. I know it. You know it. I can't change the way things are. It's just the way it is, buddy. I'll forgive you this time, though. Project Gnome says, a question. In Fleet Viewer, it looks like you might be able to wedge a Polaris on the Kraken's flight deck. Do you think they'll limit what we can have parked on the Kraken and take it into QT? No. I think if it fits, it sits, and you'll be able to go into QT. And the funny thing with ships fitting on the Kraken deck is it's all about how, where the landing gears of the ship is. And the Polaris has an actually kind of small landing gear real estate profile, and I actually do think you'll be able to squeeze it on the deck of a Kraken, believe it or not. I think I even tested that out in 3D one time, and it worked. Okay. Oh my goodness. Stop. Everyone pause. Let's pause. What is going on? Mufasa just dropped a $1,000 donation, hitting my goal to have my daughter do a makeover and doing airfare for patients and family and a Master of Industry pack. And he voted in the poll to remove Ender's hair. Mufasa, you're going to get 2 things for that, buddy. First off, thank you everyone for the donations today. But first off, you're getting the double salute. I'm going to pop that bad boy up, and that's actually the worst place for the double salute. Let's move that very prominently right here. Okay, so you're getting the 007. That right away is worth it, right? You got the 007, and by God, I owe you some beans for that one. We've had some incredible donations today, everybody. We are up to $27,000.72. I do need to make a new Tiltify milestone because we need one. We need a new Tiltify milestone. My goodness, Mufasa, you absolute maniac. Everyone give Mufasa a little 07. We need a new milestone, everyone. I'm going to set a milestone for $30,000. It's got to be a big one. It's got to be a good one. Let me know what you all think in chat the milestone should be. Eve Inspiration's question, do you think CIG will ever change a shield so that ships on the Kraken get good shield protection? To some degree. I think small ships will actually fit within the shield bubble, believe it or not. Even though it wraps around the Kraken, I think they'll sit below that wrap. Big ships, they won't, though, and I don't think they're going to change that. Okay. Here's our bean. We got a bean. This is a disturbingly colored one. Let me see what this is. Thank you, Mufasa, for doing this to me. This is, oh no, this is my least favorite one. This is either Juicy Pear or Booger. Yeah, Juicy Pear or Booger. Crap. This is not going to be good. I already know this is not going to be good. Juicy Pear or Booger. Here we go, bottoms up. Oh, this Juicy Pear is delicious. I might owe you another bean for that. All right, here's going to be the milestone, the $30,000 milestone. We're going to do something we meant to do last year. We're going to build, or we're going to say kit bash a St. Jude hospital ship with Grim. We're gonna let's see, hospital ship stream. Okay, we're gonna say kit bash stream. We're gonna do a kit bash stream, which will be St. Jude hospital ship. Okay, hold on a minute, everyone. There we go. It's going to be a kit bash stream with Grim, and it's going to be a St. Jude hospital ship. That is our $30,000 milestone. It's activated. It's a go, everyone. It is a go. Okay, there we go. New milestone reach. Mufasa, thank you very much for that absolutely crazy, insane, maniacal donation to these sick kids and their families. Thank you very much. Northern Tech Hermit, thank you for that $15 donation. Do appreciate it. Got in on that poll as well for the hair. Let's make Ender bald. That'll be fun. What we'll do on that stream when we hit 30,000, and I will do a long, like 4-hour stream where we kit bash a medical ship. We'll choose a manufacturer. We'll kit bash a medical ship that is like a hospital ship for St. Jude. I think that'll be really, really cool. Okay, that's what it's going to be. It'll be a big one. Think Endeavor hospital ship, like Endeavor Hope, but we'll do it a little differently. Okay. Genitox says, how high does one have to go before he commits to a Drake tattoo? Ooh, probably pretty high. Pretty high on that one. All right, everyone. Damn it, the bean's stuck in my mouth. Nacho with a $100 donation towards the Master of Industry pack. Thank you very much, Nacho. Appreciate you. Salute to you, my friend. Legendary. This bean is actually starting to not taste good, actually. So, not very good. That is a great donation, Nacho. Thank you very, very much. You all have been legendary with the donations today. Like, seriously. We've had a stupidly large crowd today. And I can't thank you all enough for that. Please, if you have friends that don't watch the show, I would love if you sent them our way. You know, it'd be great to continue to grow the channels. Again, the growth has been all via you all, so I do really, really appreciate that. So, you know, get in on that if you can. Who am I? Let's see here. Who am I going to send you to? I think I know who I'm going to send you to. But it's been a great show. We've had some great donations. Hopefully you all are excited for Defensecon. We have the stream on Sunday. Don't forget, this Sunday, we're going to do 5 drawings for a Squadron 42 game package. Okay, so 5 drawings for a Squadron 42 game package. Big shout out to GearCon for that. Okay, big shout out to GearCon for that. Everyone give GearCon an 07 down in chat. I'm going to put the St. Jude Tiltify link right in chat. Commander Capitalism. There you go. Just drop the St. Jude Tiltify link there. You can go there and donate to something. We got a number of raffles going on. Blurry Pixel with a $45 donation. Thank you very much. You all, we have gone crazy today. Where were we at when we started? We were at 25,200, and I think we're now at 27,200. We've done $2,000 today. That's insane. $2,000. None of that could be possible without you all. Remember that you are donating to St. Jude Children's Hospital. They specialize in childhood cancer, so they're treating kids who have cancer, and making in the kid's entire stay and treatment at St. Jude is completely free. They never receive a bill. The families never receive a bill. It is all paid for, again, through your very generous donations. Very important to remember that. And you're doing it for a really, really great cause with fantastic raffles on the line that hopefully you can win. Okay. In addition to the raffles, okay, I've got my Drake Ironclad giveaway going on. That's entirely free to enter. That is a big thank you for you all coming to the channel. We'll have additional giveaways from CIG throughout the next 2 months, as we always do. Okay. So make sure you do that. Again, you're all amazing. I love you. Seriously. I'm not just saying that because of the donations or the charity stuff. I genuinely love this community. You're all amazing. I wouldn't do this if it wasn't for you all. You all make this fun for me. Okay. So I do sincerely appreciate it. Right. We are going to raid. Who are we going to raid? We're going to raid Riddick. Riddick X. Going to send you over to him. Make sure you give him some STARJUMP love when you go over there. All that good stuff. I do appreciate it. Let's see here. Commander Capitalism says 43 years ago, St. Jude doing miracles. I agree. Doing some incredible work. Again, get in on the raffles, everyone. Do appreciate it. I'll be seeing you all on Sunday. We're going to go ahead and get this raid started. I got to get back to work. I'm going to go ahead and get this raid started here. Don't forget to do kind things for a stranger. Make sure you take the STARJUMP love to your friends. Show them the streams. Show them the YouTube channels. Show them STARJUMP Fleet Viewer. Show them the Twitch and X accounts and get them plugged into it. I do really appreciate that. For now, though, going to send you over to Riddick X. Give him a little bit of love. $20 from SRTG. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. You guys have a good rest of your day. I'll see you on Sunday. Appreciate it, everyone. Thank you. Salute. All right, Twitch is away on the raid. And now for my awesome, amazing YouTube community, have a great rest